Okay, Unit 7 is a super easy section. There's only going to be 3 standards, and then we'll have a review date and a test date, and we'll be done. So 7.1 is dilating, which means either a stretch or if you shrink, going the opposite way, and it's going to be stretching a shape or a figure. So we're going to have a coordinate plane, so a grid, that this shape is going to be stretching on to measure exactly how it stretches. So if they give you a graph, like maybe they give you this, they give you A, B, C, and they're like, hey, stretch it twice as big from a certain center. It doesn't mean the center of the graph, like the shape, it means the center they give you. So they might give you, okay, it's at 1, 2. Okay, so that's the center. I like to mark out with the star, so I know it's not actually a point in my shape, it's just the center. So then they'll be like, okay, from this center, you need to stretch each point, so we're going to actually measure each point from this center. So like this one might be -3, -2, even though the grid is over here. This one from the center might be left and right 0, but down 4. Okay, and then this one, let's say you go over 3 or 4 still, from the center and down 6. So we use those points when we want to stretch it. So the dilation given will be your multiplier. So let's say it was 3 times as big. So each of these points, so A was -3, -2, B was 0, -4, C was -4, -6. I go and stretch those times 3. And we write the new ones with a little an apostrophe, yeah. We call it A prime for our new point. So this one becomes -9, -6. And this one becomes 0, -12, so just timesing by 3 each value, -12, -18. And then when you go to graph it, you have to count from that center point that you started with. So on this center, let's show you in a different color, -9, -6, we'll go back 9, down 6. That's our new A. You do the same thing for B, same thing for C, and you should get a graph that is bigger, and it's not bigger just around the shape, it's actually bigger going from the center. So C might be down here, and then you connect the dots, boom, boom, boom. And on the quizzes, I am going to ask you specifically what those new points are from just the origin. So the coordinate point. So like this one might be at -3, 1. I don't think that's quite accurate, but you know what I mean. From the origin is what I'm going to have you list your points as. So just the grid marks. And that's pretty much it. The other option you have is when you have 2 shapes already on there that are stretched, finding what center they stretched from and how much they did stretch. So it's actually pretty fun. You're going to be taking your shapes. Let's say you have this and maybe this. And you take each point, you match it up with its partner, and you extend those lines back. And if I drew this right, they would all go to the same point. I drew it a little wrong, so that's why they're not matching up. On the example I'll show you next, it will match up perfectly. Now that's the center point, so you write down the grid that it's at, not the origin, but the coordinate point. And then, so that's the center, then we have to see, okay, how far did it stretch? So you would count this distance, that's let's say this is A prime, this was A. So you'd count, let me show you with a different color, it's really hard to see on here. Okay, so let's say this was A prime, this was A, this was C prime, this was C, That's center, not C. And this distance that it traveled, let's just pick an X distance. That would be the distance to the old point. And then this distance, still from the center, would be the distance to the new point. And you set up this fraction right here, old over new. Or new over old, oh my gosh. Yeah, new divided by old. Just for one distance, and that's it. And that gives you your dilation or scale factor. Sometimes it might be a fraction or a decimal, or sometimes it might be just a whole number. It might even be negative. That can happen. Okay, let's try examples. Lots of talking here, but I think once you start seeing the problems, it'll go super quick. So this problem is number 1 in your homework. It has a dilation of 3 about the center point, negative 1, 1. So they're right here. Oops, nope. Negative 1, 1. Center point right there. So each of these distances, A, B, and C, I'm going to count from that star. So A is over to the right 1, down 1. B is right 2, down or up 0. And C was right 2, down 2. And then I times those all by 3. And it gives me my A prime, B prime, C prime. So each of those values is just multiplied by 3, and that's it. So we get 6, 0 there. We get 6, negative 6. When I go to graph those, I do need to be graphing them from that star again. So A would be over 3, down 3. So that's A prime. And I mark it with that little apostrophe. B prime is over 6. And C prime is going to be over 6, down 6. Should be getting bigger. And look at that, it does. Okay, and then on my quiz, if I asked you for those new points, you would actually put A as just the coordinate grid. So that's at 2, negative 2. This is at 5, 1, so just reading the graph. And then 5, negative 5. So those would be what you list if you had a quiz. Just the homework, you don't have to write those new points unless it asks you to. So, super duper easy. Let's look at problem number 13. This one is asking for this scale factor. I forgot to put that in the directions. So it's asking for that dilation and the center. So this is the fun part. I like this one the best. So you take your first point. Let's connect B with B prime. Okay, and we're just going to extend that line perfectly both directions. Then we're going to do it for A. So we go there, we go there, there, there. Nope, that's not right. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And then the other direction, there, there, and it keeps going. And then, just for good measure, let's try the last C. So, I think I did something wrong here. Let's try that again. So C is really easy. Let's start with that one. So that's just both directions. B is there, 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 there. And it's A that I had trouble with, so let me just show you again. So you go over there. Let's see. Okay, and then there, that's why. Okay. Okay, and then just in case it went the other direction and we didn't realize it, you would want to extend this back as well. Okay, so the point it meets at is right here. That's our center. So our center we would write down as the point negative 2, 2. And our dilation, so let's just measure our one value. I'm just going to pick C because it's really easy to go right 1, 2.5. So our new distance was 2.5. Doesn't have to be perfect, but should be an estimated decimal. The old distance was right there. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So notice new went to C prime and old went to just C. So then we set up our fraction new over old. Okay, and we get 1/2 or we get 0.5, either one. You can use whichever, and that is what I'm looking for on your homework for that section. That's it. Super easy. Please ask me questions if you have them.